How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Got a lot to talk about here. It's Tuesday. That means last night we had yet another edition of Monday Night Raw. It is the fallout from the Superstar Shakeup and WrestleMania. And as noted yesterday, lots of guys just randomly jumping ship, including somebody we did not mention yesterday. Cesaro has randomly moved to Raw, and with Sheamus out of action, I don't know what that means for The Bar. They posted a photograph on social media of them toasting each other. Long live The Bar. But Sheamus is out, so I don't know if The Bar is dead. I mean, the answer is nobody knows. I mean, by the time Sheamus is back, Vince could just decide to put The Bar back together again, or he could decide that's it for The Bar, we're going to split them up, and Cesaro's going to be on Raw, Sheamus is going to be on SmackDown. Who even knows? The script for Raw, and a giant correction from yesterday. I wrote that the script had been finalized 4 minutes before the show went on the air. I was wrong. It was 9 minutes before the show went on the air, so got to give him the benefit of the doubt there. 9 minutes before Raw went on the air, the script was finished, and you could tell watching the show because the very first thing they did on Raw was tell you what the 2 tournament matches were going to be to determine a challenger for the championship, Seth Rollins and Money in the Bank, and they announced that match, and then they spent 18 minutes shooting the angle to build that match because they didn't know they were going to announce the match when the show went on the air. We're talking World Championship Wrestling right here. I just watched Nitro, and granted, Nitro during Russo's second run was worse than Raw, but still, there's a lot of things going on that just boggle the mind. And meanwhile, by the way, the stock hit $100 per share for a while today. That's life. We'll talk about it after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Laura here on Twitter. I usually agree with much of what she says, but not today. I wouldn't call 2000 Nitro bad, she says, just random. By the way, where is Sid? No, it's quite bad. I just watched one Sunday. I will admit that today's Retro Nitro, 19 years ago this week, was better than last week's show, but that's low praise. And I also saw at the end of this week's Nitro, the beginning of next week's Nitro, which opens with David Arquette in the parking lot as the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, that is where we are. Retro Raw Nitro, 19 years ago this week. Now on the WCW front, still nothing firm regarding the June 8th San Jose TakeOver show, whether or not it is still on, with the Saudi Arabia show maybe being on June 7th. It's April, 23rd today? So we're less than 2 months away. They still don't know if they're going to Saudi Arabia. They still don't know if they're running a takeover in San Jose. Everything is on hold because the Saudi Arabia show, originally scheduled for May 3rd, then moved to June 7th, is probable, but not 100% right now. What we do know, Dave writes, is that tentatively the June 7th Salt Lake City show was moved to June 16, and the June 8th Denver show was moved to June 15. Those would be the dates. They couldn't have U.S. shows if they are going to Saudi Arabia. The fact these moves have been made but not announced tells you they are pretty sure that Saudi Arabia is on. The June 16th Backlash show scheduled in San Diego is June 16th, but it is no longer a pay-per-view. It will continue as a house show. Got all this, everybody? There's talk the Backlash pay-per-view will be moved to June 23rd, which is currently listing shows in Spokane, Washington, and Abbotsford, BC. We are told it most likely will be in Washington, but it may not necessarily be in Spokane. As I talked about yesterday, looking like it will be in Tacoma. I don't know why. On the show yesterday, I mentioned that they are renovating the Key Arena, but they're not renovating the Key Arena until this fall, so the Key Arena is open. Why they're running the Tacoma Dome and not the Key Arena, I have absolutely no idea for a pay-per-view. But that's the update on WWE, trying to figure out what the hell they're doing with shows in 2 months.
Sorry, I'm furiously scratching out some notes here.
Well, you didn't scratch furiously enough, because I bet you couldn't recap anything I just said.
The only thing that will stick out is that the Key Arena is being not run, and the Tacoma Dome is. Maybe, is it acoustics? Is it size? They want to maximize ticket price? Is that what it is?
Well, it's not acoustic size or ticket prices because they're doing it Tacoma and not Seattle.
I don't know.
I have no idea why they're running Tacoma.
Maybe they get a sweet deal on the building. Maybe that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, because the building sucks. And it's in a sucky place.
And obviously very inconvenient for you, I'm sure.
No, it's not inconvenient at all, actually. I mean, it's a little further away, but I don't know why they're running Tacoma and not the Key Arena in Seattle, an actual big, nice building in the middle of the city. It's mind-blowing to me.
Seems to be no question that they're going to Saudi Arabia. It's just going to be like last time where they try to do what they can to not hype it up. That's what
it's so
feels
secret this time that they don't even know if they're going. That's what this looks like here.
I don't know if you do all of that maneuvering when it comes to your logistics and not go to Saudi Arabia, or at least have a good plan that you're going to be out of the country the way you're moving these other shows around. It certainly seems like that is the case, but since it is not being announced, and since that I doubt that they really want to announce anything more than they have to when it comes to the Kingdom, that's probably what's the case here.
All right, let's go to the phones. You are on the air. What's going on?
Hey, guys. It's been a while. It's Edward from California. I just kind of wanted to give some, general opinions on Raw to open up the dialogue. Triple threats were cool. They were really good matches. I thought Seth really, it helps he was in his hometown, but Seth really came off like a star. I'm hyped about AJ and Seth. That should be good. People cared, but man, one of the most notable things about last night to me was the second that Baron Corbin threw out Drew and covered Miz. Man, it was like the air of like a balloon got deflated or something. I thought that was hilarious. The only other thing of note I think is that I feel like Ricochet should have beat Bobby Roode, but he'll probably get his win back next week, realistically.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. The thing with Bobby Roode, I think the reason he got the win last night is he's got a new character. They're officially now calling him Robert Roode.
Ravishing Robert Roode?
He's got a mustache now, and I guess they just figured, hey, he's got a new character. He needs a win tonight.
Silas Old.
Of course, they could have had someone else other than Ricochet be in there, but instead they put Ricochet in and they beat him. It's the first time he's been beaten since he got called up to the main roster.
Magnum BR.
And that's the story there. So, Baron Corbin, I have nothing more to say about Baron Corbin except I still don't get it. They think that he is a great heel because people hate him so much, not realizing that they put him in the main event countless times and it dies every single time they put him in the main event. But they're just going to keep trying. They don't understand good heat and bad heat. They only understand heat. It's all the same to them. When Lacey Evans came out, she's another one. Like, I have nothing against Lacey Evans, okay? But when she came out to do her promo on Becky Lynch, as soon as she starts coming out, there's two types of boos that I've noticed. And Baron Corbin gets one of them, and Lacey Evans is now getting them. They're loud, droning boos. They're not like boos. It's just like, oh, you just hear people go, oh. So she comes out and she gets the droning boos, and then they ignore her promo, and then they give her the what treatment.
This is medical. You get the droning boos.
So she's got that. Corbin's got that. It's like, and listen, so I know that they're doing Seth Rollins, AJ Styles at the pay-per-view, and I know that yesterday I said that they were going to do AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. I don't want to hear anybody telling me that I'm wrong. If you're mad about that match and me reporting that match, then you need to be mad at WWE, who have released a card for Extreme Rules, and that is the main event. So this is not me doing some sort of goofy speculation. That's the match they are promoting to sell tickets for Extreme Rules. The Seth Rollins Baron Corbin match. So, like, I know that there's often a post-WrestleMania lull, but dude, how can there not be? This is not inevitable. It's like the cycle of wrestling. It's not inevitable. But it is inevitable when Becky Lynch is now facing Lacey Evans, who nobody cares about or wants to see right now, and Seth Rollins, thank God he's facing AJ Styles first, but it looks like next up is probably going to be Baron Corbin. What the hell do you expect? A bad summer. That's what you're going to get.
And I like Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is physically gifted. He's very talented. He does get legitimate boos when he comes out there. why they just can't turn him into a guy that can be used as a weapon, as a tool for somebody who is somebody else who would be in the title picture or something like that. I don't know. I just don't know why they don't maximize him that way, because no, it doesn't per se work when he's in there with AJ Styles. That's not what people want to see. They don't look at him and think of him, and he never will be on that same level that a Samoa Joe or somebody like that is. That's okay. That's all right. I just don't think they're using him right to their full potential, and having him main event the next pay-per-view against AJ Styles, no, it wouldn't be my thing, and I don't think that's helping, and I don't think Lacey Evans against Becky is what I would have done either, but they love their characters, and that's the direction that they want to go with it, so that's the direction they're going to go with it, and they're going to get the reactions that they're going to get. So the stock price is different than what you see on TV, and one of which you'd want to invest in right now. And there's one of which that people are investing in right now, and it's certainly not the TV.
Dearest Bryan and Mike, my name is Jorge. I was the geek who failed to include my name along with the birthday text yesterday. My apologies. Much thank yous for the shout-outs. P.S. Shop Marco for me. Fear not.
Happy
and on
birthday,
that note,
Ray.
Chris from Kalamazoo, it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Chris.
I want to take time to thank you, Mike, Vinny, Craig, Tom, Lance, Dave, Garrett, Granny, and more for all that you do. My favorite radio shows and podcasts come from F4W. Keep up the great work. Happy
9 months
birthday,
ago.
Chris from Kalamazoo.
Your
Happy
parents
birthday.
did a good thing.
Person says the heat on Baron Corbin that you're talking about is getting him over as a top heel. He'll be Universal Champ by Mania as a result. I got the Corbin brigade is coming in here. Bryan, all the boos are the same. Why is it you and Dave don't give Corbin a chance? He's the top heel in WWE, period. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Can't believe I'm getting attacked by the Corbin obsessives today. Corbin and Lacey Evans are good in ring and good on the mic. Besides them, who else besides the champs on Raw can hold multiple segments both in ring and on the mic?
Go ahead. Give him some.
Listen, Lacey Evans is at best okay in the ring. And she's not very good on the mic, and everybody was dead during her promo last night. Okay? Corbin, yes, he is very good on the mic. I will give him that. And he's okay in the ring. He's not bad in the ring. He had a good three-way last night. But he had the most boring main event I've ever seen with AJ Styles. It was so boring, and nobody cared until the very end. And trust me, when the rating comes in today, even though the winner of that match was getting a shot at Seth Rollins for the Universal title to pay-per-view, I'm telling you right now, it is not going to be a good number. You can mark my words. So if Corbin was as good a heel as everybody says, I shouldn't say everybody, as 3 guys so far today are saying he is, the number should be better. That's a big stipulation in the main event involving Baron Corbin, and it's going to suck. And I know people are going to go, well, the third hour always sucks. You're right, it does. But you know what? If a guy's over, people will watch. That's it. So there you go. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, guys, it's Kenny in Myrtle Beach. Firstly, this is the first chance I've had to really tell you this since you've been having quite a few adventures over the past couple of weeks, but I do owe you an apology. I was not a prognosticator. I was, in fact, a fool because a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, I predicted, and Lance actually acknowledged this on one of his shows, that I had said that 7.5 hours into WrestleMania, nobody was going to care about the main event. And I was wrong. And I apologize for that. It turns out only most of the crowd didn't care about the main event, but there were a few. So my apologies for that. But secondly, just on a more serious note, I think I'm giving up on Raw and SmackDown. I just can't take it anymore. And I feel like they're trying to lame duck the booking. I feel like ever since they got those money deals from USA and Fox, it feels like they just aren't motivated anymore, and I'm terrified that moving over to Fox and trying to pop that big rating isn't going to be enough of a motivator for them to do anything for the booking on that. I feel like they feel like they've got their money now, and they're not going to try to do anything to get good ratings again until it's time to renegotiate again. And I completely agree with you about Baron Corbin, and I don't understand what his appeal is supposed to be. There is good heat and there is bad heat. This is, I'm going to change the channel heat, not I'm going to tune in every week until somebody kicks his rear end kind of heat. I feel like these writers, quote unquote, should be forced to, be strapped to a chair and watch a bunch of Mid-South and World Class to find out what good he's supposed to be.
Well, my friend, I want to thank you very much for the call, and this is what I have to say about this. I can tell you for an absolute 100% fact that they are very concerned about the numbers, particularly the numbers when they go on Fox in October. Absolutely, positively, they're very concerned. They are not just sitting there and figuring we got our money and we're not going to do anything until the next... Factually, 100%. I guarantee, promise you that, okay? The thing is, I've said this a million times. Vince thinks that he's doing the right thing. He's not out there writing a show that he thinks you're going to hate. He's not out there pushing guys that he thinks you do not want to see. Like I said, he thinks that Corbin is a great heel. There's zero evidence that he is actually a great heel. In fact, if you want to look at actual evidence, like, well, the ratings whenever he's on TV main eventing, the third hour sucks. There was a house show a while ago that Dave brought up where Kofi Kingston was in the main event and people walked out. What he neglected to mention was he was facing Baron Corbin. I mean, there's plenty of evidence that nobody cares about Baron Corbin, but he gets booed, and so they figure he's a great heel. We're going to have him be a foil for all of the baby faces, and when the baby faces win, everybody's going to be happy. I mean, he brought up the guys that he brought up from NXT in the last... First, he brought up the 6 people and did absolutely nothing with them. And lo and behold, they didn't get over. And so he was like, damn it, give me the 4 best guys you've got. So he said, give me the 4 best guys you've got. And so they called up Gargano and Ciampa and Black and Ricochet. And his whole deal was they do not get beaten. And turns out Ciampa got hurt. And once Ciampa got hurt, they took Gargano off the main roster. And so you were left with Aleister Black and Ricochet. And that lasted for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever where they didn't get beaten. But then he split them up because of the Superstar Showcase and keeping couples together and the whole 9 yards. And now Ricochet's on Raw and he's getting beaten. And it's not because he's getting buried. It's just because he decided he likes Bobby Roode's mustache this week, and he's going to push Bobby Roode. You're dealing with a guy who has the script done. He has a full week to get Raw in order, okay? If he didn't care, and he was just going to stand by and take his money, then he'd have everybody put the script together, and he'd go, whatever. He'd put it on television, but that's not what he does. Every single day, he's changing things. He changes things all day Monday. Why does he change them? It's not because he sees his script and goes, they're going to like this show, pal. We got to switch it around. No, he switches it all day because he thinks he's got a better idea. He thinks he's got something better. And so he changes and changes and changes and changes and changes. By the time Raw comes on the air, nobody knows what's going on. Show's a mess. And then you watch this mess of a 3-hour show, and then when the show's over, they've set something up for the next week. But guess what? He has 7 days. He's going to change this. He's going to change that. He's going to change this name. He's going to move this person to the other brand because he forgot about this or he forgot about that. Monday comes and the show's a complete mess again. That's what's happening here. That Vince is the problem. He's the greatest promoter of all time, but it's time, quite frankly, for somebody else to do this job. It's time for him to go run the XFL or something like that. Because the show is a disaster. It's a disaster. They're running people off. It's just a mess. And I liked the matches last night, but the matches have nothing to do with Vince. I mean, they do in the sense that he put them together, but luckily we got 3 matches last night where he put together matches involving guys that can go, and we ended up having a bunch of good matches on the show. But outside of the matches, this show is a disaster. The stock hit $100 today. I have no idea what's going on. I can't explain any of this to you because they're getting a lot of money off television. And the people that are... The actual answer is the people that are buying the stock, like the mutual funds and whatever that are purchasing this, they're not paying attention. They don't know what's going on. They don't follow it closely enough. Maybe they see that John Cena's on Ellen and they think, my God, he hosted the whole show by himself. This wrestling is hot.
Market evaluation, they own the industry.
They signed this deal. That's what's happening here.
And look, car company's still going to have a good number whether they build a crappy car or not. It's one thing does have to do with the other, but not in what we're talking about. Creatively of what's on TV has got nothing to do with the stock. So to always point at the stock and go, see, they're doing a great job. No, they're actually not. When you look at the demographics of the television show and you see who's being run off and you see the 25% drop from year to year and they're not growing people, between the ages of 12 and 30, whatever it is, what's the number, 34 or whatever that cut. It's like, that's what actually matters here. And on top of just the basic eye test, which is some sloppy TV going on here with some sloppy things happening and things falling in through the cracks. And it's not enjoyable. And the problem is for a lot of fans is because of all the talent that's there, because of all the potential that's there, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's been the case with WWE. Nobody expects WWE. Obviously, everybody wants it to fit their own image and what they like, but still, when they're at their best, they universally touch all sorts of people, all across the board, no matter what kind of fan you think you are, no matter how much you think you dislike WWE. They have the ability to always catch you with something, and it just seems right now they're missing with a majority of their fan base, no matter who they are, except for the diehards and the trolls on Twitter and things like that are, WWE only or whatever their talking points are going to be for that day. But everybody else outside of that, once you get outside that echo chamber, is starting to become run off and is less popular now than it's been at any point.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
What's up, Hamish?
Hi. Right. What I'm going to say, I'm saying as one of the biggest WWE fans in the world. As a kid, I had every toy, I had every computer game. I even get bullied as a kid in school for having a John Cena school bag. But last week, I went to the NXT UK TV tapings in Glasgow, and it was an amazing show. It was an amazing night out. It was simple, long-term booking with clear characters, heels and faces, everything I loved about wrestling when I was growing up. And I got this enlightening moment that actually I hate Raw and SmackDown. It's as if for the last few years I've had some kind of Stockholm syndrome for Vince McMahon. I just love the company, but I hate the product. And I couldn't bring myself to admit that I hated the product. But now I don't think when we cry about Baron Corbin or the Viking experience or any other nonsense that they do, I don't think any of that matters. It's simply too much product. My favorite TV show is Game of Thrones. They've had 75 episodes in 8 years. That's 75 hours of program. In that time, we've had over 2,000 hours of Raw and SmackDown, plus pay-per-views, plus 205 Live. They're just killing us with the sheer volume of stuff they're putting out.
Well, Hamish, I want to thank you so much for the call. We'll talk about this when we come back. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Got a lot of emails about Hamish's call right there, as you can imagine. And I will say that, yes, Raw is too long, but I'm not sure that if Raw and SmackDown were an hour long, if Vince is rewriting the show and the script is done 9 minutes before the show goes on the air, I'm not sure it's going to be significantly better than it is right now. There's a big difference between Raw and SmackDown and NXT and NXT UK. And the main issue, yes, obviously NXT UK and NXT takeovers, there's significantly less NXT product than main roster product. But the big difference between NXT and WWE is Triple H is in charge of one of them, and Vince is in charge of the other one. That's it. That's the main thing. Granted, if they switched places and Vince was in charge of NXT, I can barely say it with a straight face. If Vince were in charge of NXT and Triple H was in charge of the main roster, there's no guarantee that everything is going to turn around, okay? What would probably happen was NXT would be significantly worse and Raw would be a little bit better. But I mean, probably I don't know if I would say a lot better, because you're still dealing with 12 hours of Raw a month, and the 3, 4, 5, 6 hour pay-per-views they run every month. So it's still going to be completely different when Triple H is trying to fill all that time. But, I mean, that's the thing here. It's the guys in charge of the show. One guy has more of an old school outlook, and one guy doesn't seem to know what he's doing anymore. That's what's going on here. Person says, longtime listener, have you ever known WWE to be in such a state? The magic of WWE has been long lost. It's been a long time since there's been genuine emotion other than anger or exasperation, other than when the Hardy Boys returned at WrestleMania. By the way, guys, remember the Hardy Boys are tag team champions? I've watched WWE for 20 years. I fall asleep to every weekly Raw show because I've hoped that the next week it'll change. Beginning to give up and just catch up in the news. No shade, but I think it's time Vince moved aside, let Hunter produce the shows. At least it would be consistent and have superstars, would have someone to work with them. Reason why superstars are all leaving left and right. By the way, I stand with Sasha. I would have done the same thing if I was her. Neville got past it and is now in a great position. I'm sure she can do the same. Love the show, Bryan. You talk sense, which is why I listen. Well, thank you. And I don't know if I've ever seen WWE in this state. I mean, even like the early 90s, I'm watching these Superstars shows, and yeah, there's some stupid stuff on there. Warrior barfing for 5 straight weeks, and the Repo Man, but like I watch the shows, and there's a story to the show from beginning to end. And they're building up programs to sell tickets to house shows. And granted, it's not really what everybody wants to see, but like it's more what people want to see then than it is what people want to see now. I mean, the post-invasion, I mean, maybe that was worse. Unfortunately, I got to rewatch that in a few years so I can let you know. But this is bad. It's bad.
And look at the options that are out there. And there's where Hamish, I agree and I disagree. There is in some ways too much content out there. But one of the other things about having so much content out there is you see a lot of other people with a lot of other ideas, including his son-in-law in NXT and how that's run. And you're going to have more Gaga on the main roster. You're going to have more mainstream sort of things. You're going to have things that wrestling fans will recoil at sometimes, like, I don't know, the Shane versus Miz feud and things like that a a lot of people actually get a kick out of and enjoy. And there's a place for that. It's just that some of the other stuff isn't clicking on all cylinders right now when they have all that talent, and it's frustrating because, again, a lot of it comes down to, too, when you don't have coherent plans and you have a bunch of people that are writing for one guy and who are fearful about writing anything other than what they think that one guy wants. And that one guy, being the filter, takes it all and shakes it up like a big boggle game and throws it all out there. And then he gathers it back in again and he changes it right before. There's no reason for things to be changed to this level 9 minutes before the show is on. Just not. That is a WCW thing. You can try to spin it any way that you want to. That's what they did. And that's why their shows were so scattershot. That's why their announcers would have to double clutch and screw things up. That's why production issues would happen. That's the problem, and that's part of a big problem, again, on top of the fact that they're just not reaching all of the people that they need to reach in the ways that they need to reach them, of why there's such a big disconnect there.
This person here says, when they rewrite, does that include who faces each other in matches or the planned storylines or just the scripts? Everything. Like, somebody needs to sit down and keep track of how many matches they announce over the week that don't happen on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, if Mookie Ghana hadn't gone to AEW, I'd have paid him to keep track of this. Like, start at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year, how many matches, and these are not just matches that, like, they come up with behind the scenes and then change. I mean, there's a billion of those, but these are the ones they actually announce for television. And then, when television comes, they just don't do them. There's so many of them. So when you think about, these are the ones they went out of their way. They were so finalized that they announced them and made graphics and talked about them on television and on the internet. Okay? If you think about how many of those they change, then imagine how many things that they change over the course of the week that you never hear about. It's constant. It's incessant change. This person here says, doesn't Sasha know that WWE is just going to add time to her contract if she sits out? She's just like they did with Daniel Bryan. AEW or whoever will be 2020. Well, here's the thing. I don't know this for sure, but I believe she re-signed a new deal last year.
Ooh.
So if that was the case, that she re-signed in 2018, that means her deal would be over in 2021, and every day that she sits out, they're going to add time to the end of that contract. We're talking a long way down the road. Now, I know people think that I hate Sasha and that I'm anti-Sasha, but I mean, she signed that deal a year ago. She agreed to stay for 3 more years a year ago. So, it's not like everything has changed over the course of the past year. This is the way the company has been for years and years and years and years. And she decided last year, I'm going to commit to 3 more years, or whatever it was. And so, to me, finish out your contract. That's the way things happen. You agreed to it. You knew. It's not a mystery that they're going to add time to the contract if you go home. This is not a mystery. No one's blindsided by this. Your lawyer looks it over. Everybody looks it over. You knew what you were signing a year ago. Now you're mad and you want to go home? Well, they're going to add time to the end of it. Go to work, finish out your contract, and then leave. Like many people have successfully done. Like Dean Ambrose has done. He's out of there. Should have heard the promo that guy cut on the way out.
You're right about that, and you're right about she signed it, and she should have known with how her title reigns have gone, if there was any question creatively with her, that you can't trust them, okay? Just can't trust them. But with that said, if she decides she's not coming back, then good. You know, fine. If she's desperately trying to get out because she's got to go to Shine or Shimmer or Stardom or whatever, AEW, whatever it's going to be, then yeah, she's taking the wrong tack to go ahead and do that. But if this is, I'm done, you've burned me out, screw this, I'm out, then fine. If she's going to sit out, like Neville did, like people did at the end of their runs or whatever, fine. I'm actually okay with that. But if this is the tool she's using to try to get cut, then yeah, they're not going to do it. It's not going to work out, and you do have to go back and you have to eat whatever they do. And frankly, being her, there's so much she can do. You know, if they want to come back and bury her on TV, there's so much she can do attitude-wise, from the walk to the ring to how she acts in it to out, where she can manipulate the crowd. And there's going to be people there that are going to cheer for her and react to her no matter what. So she would, frankly, if that's what she's trying to do and she's trying to leave, she'd be better off doing it that way. That way they can't say, the only thing they can do is not use her on TV, sit her to the side, and let her just go through her time and then be done with her. So it's actually the boo-boo facing on TV may actually do her a lot better than boo-boo facing on an island somewhere, just trying to sit and wait this thing out.
I mean, this is a bad analogy. It's horrible, actually, but I'm going to make it anyway. Speaking of islands, okay? This January 2020, Dave and I are going on the Jericho cruise. And I signed a contract to go on this cruise, okay? So if I fly to Miami and I learn when I'm there, wait a second, this is on a boat in the water? I hate boats and water. And Dave shoves me onto the boat, and the boat starts sailing on Monday, and I'm seasick, and I'm angry, and I'm upset that I'm on a boat. And then on Tuesday, it's like, Jericho, you got to pull the damn boat over. Go somewhere so I can get off this boat.
Turn this thing around.
Turn the boat around. He's like, I'm not turning the boat around, dude. I'm like, you got to turn the boat around. I don't want to be here anymore. And he's like, you signed a contract. I don't care. I want to get off. You can't get off. All right, I'm going to go on Twitter. I go on Twitter, and I start complaining that I don't want to be on this boat. This
cruise sucks.
I don't want to be here. And I get all these people on Twitter starting to tweet Jericho going, dude, the guy doesn't want to be there. Just let him off the boat. And he's like, he signed a contract. He's on the boat. No, Bryan's been doing this since 1998. He deserves to get off this boat. I'm not getting off the boat. I'm stuck on the boat until it lands. That's it. I signed a contract.
Pulls back in.
Am I wrong? That's not a bad analogy at all. That's exactly what's happening right here. Because their boat's sinking. But she's stuck on the boat because she signed a contract. Right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter if I want to get off the boat. I'm on the boat. I signed a contract. This person says, I don't know how, but Charlotte is responsible for Baron Corbin not being over. Let's go to the phones here. I want to hear what this person has to say. You're on the air. What's going on?
This is Jim from Virginia.
Yeah, it's Jim.
Yeah, Brian, I got a question for you. I was watching Raw last night, and something came on a video segment where it was real eerie. Had a little doll in the
yes. Did you keep watching?
Chair. What was that about?
Did you keep watching the show?
That was the deal. Was that the deal to lead into Bray Wyatt?
Yes, Bray Wyatt. He's a puppeteer now. It's Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, I like that. I thought that was pretty good.
You know what's funny is when it happened, I got all these tweets from people that were like, they couldn't believe their eyes. And I thought, oh my God, all day today it's going to be the Firefly Firehouse or whatever the stupid thing is. And like nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it today. I think they're going to let it play out, which they should. And listen, everyone was sick of Bray Wyatt doing the same stuff all the time in these stupid feuds. You wanted something different, you got it. I'm fine with the Firefly Firehouse.
This had a real Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, there are people in this house vibe to that. So I don't know how weird this is going to get, but it does fit in with the weirdness of Bray Wyatt.
All right, y'all guys take care.
All right, y'all take care of yourself, you hear? It's like he's signing off from the Beverly Hillbillies.
He's in rural southwestern Virginia. It's God's country out there.
Any word on Daniel Bryan's injury? Nothing yet. Person's also said I guess this was on one of the solo shows, they asked you, now they're going to ask me.
What's that?
Does SmackDown get moved to FS1 before WrestleMania 36? I say yes. Well, here's the answer.
No.
Here's the answer. If the ratings are okay, no. If the ratings are bad, they will not be bad for 7 months. They will move their ass off FS1 quick if those ratings suck. Or to FS1. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. If you want to watch some wrestling that's not Raw, it's coming Saturday night, April 27th. James Logan High School, Union City, California, Northern California, all pro wrestling. Myself and the Jungle Boy will be wrestling for the APW Junior Heavyweight Championship. I am bringing that title home to Wrestling Observer Live and all of you. Coming up Saturday, April 27th, myself and the Jungle Boy. Special fundraising event benefiting the Ballet Folklorico group at James Logan High School, Union Landing.eventbrite.com for tickets. That is unionlanding.eventbrite.com. Myself versus Jungle Boy for the APW Junior Heavyweight title. And then June 1st for Black Label Pro, I will be facing Marco Stunt in what was announced yesterday, unbeknownst to me, by the way, but I'm very excited about it, a no-holds-barred match. Myself and Marco Stunt, I will apply every hold known to man to Marco Stunt, in between chopping him incessantly and beating him yet again, and perhaps, if he really bothers me, breaking his other leg. That's coming up June 1st, Black Label Pro. Get your tickets now, Mike.
How much is Jericho paying you?
What are you talking about?
What's in this contract?
I'm a journalist. I am not being paid to go on the boat. I'm going on the boat as a journalist.
Oh, yeah?
And in fact, we'll be doing Wrestling Observer Live from the boat.
I ain't doing it here then.
5 days. Dave and I will be doing Wrestling Observer Live from the boat.
It's a Mike Sempervive show that week then here.
Man, oh man. Well, check it out, everybody.
You hear that, Dom? Me and you, buddy.
Yo, man, Dom. You ready for that, Dom?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dom, I want to thank you for doing the show here today.
Get the shrubs and tree ready or whatever.
Mike, as always, callers and listeners, we'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.